introduce yourself?
This is Parameshwara Prabhu, our Sankirtan leader, and Bhakti Kyle. He's a new traveling devotee. My name is Krishna Bhagavan Das.
You were here before, though, right?
Yeah, we were here last year around this time also.
Thank you. Thanks for, this day is a little confusing for everybody, but I think everything ends, and all's well that ends well.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So we're continuing the journey into Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, the appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. So, I'll just give a brief context of what's happening here for those devotees who haven't been here for the class. And, so, at the beginning of this chapter, Shukadeva, Maharaj Parikshit comes back to his kingdom. He's emperor of the world at this time. Comes back to his kingdom and starts lamenting about how he did this injustice to this Brahmana. And then he starts saying, let this reaction, this sinful reaction for not having the proper etiquette towards this Brahmana, let the reaction come immediately. And then he gets word that he's cursed by Sringi, the Brahmana's son, to die in 7 days. And so then he goes to the bank of the Ganges, or Yamuna, and then all these great personalities are descending to this place because they foresee that there's going to be the Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Shukadeva Goswami. And now in this text 9 through 10, we're hearing of those personalities who are arriving, and we'll hear Prabhupada will give some description of them in the purport, and then after that I'll comment during the purport, and then we'll speak a little bit on whatever I'll have. So I guess we'll just read the first line together, I guess. Atrir Vashishtash Chavayan Sharadvan Arishtanamir Brigu Angirascha Parasharo Gadi Sutotarama Utatya Indra Pramamed Yamavaho Atrir Vashishtash Javana Sharadvan Arishtanamir Brigur Angirascha Parasharo Gadhi Sutotarama Utatya Indra Pramaded Mavaho Atrir Vashishtash Javana Sharadvan Arishtanamir Brigur Angirascha Parasharo Gadi Sutotarama Utatya Indra Pramaded Mavaho. Please chant.
Atrir Vashishtash Javana Sharadvan Arishtanamir Brigur Angirascha Parasharo Gadi Sutotarama Utatya Indra Pramaded Mavaho
Atrir Vashishtash Chavara Sharadvan Arishtanamir Brigur Angirascha Parasharo Gadi Sutotarama Utatya Indra Pramaded Mavaho.
Savana Sharadvan
Arishtanimir Brigur Angirascha
Arishtanimir Brigur Angirascha
Parasharodadhi Sutotarama
Parasharodadhi Sutotarama
Bhutatma Indra Pramadetmavaho
Indra Pramadetmavaho.
I'll read the next line. Medhabsitir Devala Arishtanimno Bharadvajo Gautama Pipaladya Maitreya Urva Kavasa Kumbhayanur Dvaipayano Bhagavan Naradascha. Here it says, there's no word for word translation in this text. It says, Atri to Narada, all names of the different saintly personalities who are arrived there from different parts of the universe. So that was basically the gist of it. These are all names of great personalities. A little sensitive?
I think it's just the plot on that.
Yes. Translation. From different parts of the universe, there arrive great sages, like Atri, Chavana, Sharadvan, Arishtanemi, Bhrigu, Vashishta, Parashara, Vishwamrita, Angira, Purusharam, Utatya, Indra Pramada, Idmavahu, Medhatiti, Devala Arishtanena, Arishtishena, Bharadvaj, Gautama, Papalada, Maitreya, Orva, Kavasha, Kumbhayoni, Dvaipayana, and the great personality Narada. Om Agyanat Samarandasya, Ganajana Shalakaya, Chakshurumitam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam, Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Sridamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusite Devi Pranamami Rami Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Translation repeated. From different parts of the universe, there arrive great sages like Atri, Chavana, Sharadvan, Arishtanemi, Bhrigu, Vashishta, Parashara, Vishwamrita, Angira, Parasharam, Utatya, Indra Pramada, Idmavahu, Medhatiti, Devala, Aristashena, Bharadvaj, Gautama, Papalada, Maitreya, Orva, Kavasha, Kumbhayoni, Dvaipayana, and the great personality Narada. Purport. So Prabhupada will start describing some of these great personalities that are arriving to give us a hint of just how important this scene is that is taking place in the history of this universe. Chavana, a great sage and one of the sons of Bhrigu Muni, he was born prematurely with when his pregnant mother was kidnapped. Chavana is one of the 6 sons of his father. Bhrigu. When Brahmaji was performing a great sacrifice on behalf of Varuni, Maharshi Bhrigu was born from a sacrificial fire. He was a great sage, and his dear wife was Puloma. He could travel in space like Durvasa, Narada, and others. And he used to visit all the planets of the universe. Before the battle of Kurukshetra, he tried to stop the battle. Sometimes he instructed Bharadvaj Muni about astronomical evolution, and he is the author of the great Bhrigu Samhita, the great astrological calculation. He explained how air, fire, water, and earth are generated from ether. He explained how the air in the stomach works and regulates the intestines. As a great philosopher, he logically established the eternity of the living entity, Mahabharata. He was also a great anthropologist, and the theory of evolution was long ago explained by him. He was a scientific propounder of the 4 divisions and orders of human society, known as the Varnashram institution. He converted the Kshatriya king, Vitahavya, into a Brahmana. Vishishta, see Srimad Bhagavatam 196. So, I don't have access to that here. Parashara, he is the grandson of Vashishta Muni and father of Vyasadeva. He is the son of Maharshi Shakti, and his mother's name was Adrishyati. He was in the womb of his mother when she was only 12 years old, and from within the womb of his mother he learned the Vedas. His father was killed by a demon, Kalmashapada, and to avenge this he wanted to annihilate the whole world. He was restrained, however, by his grandfather Vashishta. He then performed a Rakshasa killing yajna, but Maharshi Pulastya restrained him. He begot Vyasadeva, being attracted by Satyavati, who was to become the wife of Maharaj Shantanu. By the blessings of Parashara, Satyavati became fragrant for miles. He was present also during the time of Bhishma's death. He was spiritual master of Maharaj Janaka and a great devotee of Lord Shiva. He is the author of many Vedic scriptures and sociological directions. Gadhi Sutta or Vishvamrita, a great sage of austerity and mystic power. He is famous as Gadhi Sutta because his father was Gadhi, a powerful king of the province of Kanya-Kabuja, part of Uttar Pradesh. Although he was a Kshatriya by birth, he became a Brahmana in the very same body by the power of his spiritual achievements. He picked a quarrel with Vashishta Muni when he was a Kshatriya king and performed a great sacrifice in cooperation with Maganga Muni, and thus was able to vanquish the sons of Vashishta. He became a great yogi, and yet he failed to check his senses, and thus was obliged to become the father of Shakuntala, the beauty queen of the world history. Once when he was a Kshatriya king, he visited the hermitage of Vashishta Muni, and he was given a royal reception. Vishvamrita wanted from Vashishta a cow named Nadini, and the Muni refused to deliver. Vishvamrita stole the cow, and thus there was quarrel between the sage and the king. Vishvamrita was defeated by the spiritual strength of Vashishta, and thus the king decided to become a Brahmana. Before becoming a Brahmana, he underwent severe austerity on the bank of the Kaushika. He was also one who tried to stop the Kurukshetra war. Angira. He was one of the 6 mental sons of Brahma and the father of Bahaspati, the great learned priest of the demigods in the heavenly planets. He was born of the semen of Brahmaji given to a cinder of fire. Uttatya and Samvarta are his sons. It is said that he is still performing austerity and chanting the holy name of the Lord at a place known as Alokananda on the banks of the Ganges. Parasharam C. Srimad Bhagavatam 196. Uttatya, one of the 3 sons of Maharshi Angira, He was the spiritual master of Maharaj Mandata. He married Bhadra, the daughter of Soma, the moon. Varuna kidnapped his wife, Bhadra, and to retaliate the offense of the god of water, he drank all the water of the world. Medhatiti, an old sage of yore, an assembly member of the heavenly king Indradev. His son was Kanva Muni, who brought up Shakuntala in the forest. He was promoted to the heavenly planet by strictly following the principles of retired life, Manapras. Devala, a great authority like Narada Muni and Vyasadeva, his good name is on the list of authorities mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna acknowledged Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality Godhead. He met Maharaj Yudhisthira after the battle of Kurukshetra, and he was the elder brother of Dhaumya, the priest of the Pandava family. Like the Kshatriyas, he also allowed his daughter to select her husband in the Swayamvara meeting, and at that ceremony all the bachelor sons of the rishis were invited. According to some, he is not a Sita Devala. So for Devala, Prabhupada mentioned that Arjuna listed him as one of the authorities for the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in I believe it's the 10th chapter, Arjuna says, I have heard all that you said, and I believe that you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now you are telling me this, and just as these great personalities have said it, and he says Devala, Narada Muni, and some others. So he mentioned those personalities because one could say, well, Arjuna was just Krishna's friend, and so he's just trying to glorify his friend in a nice way, saying that, oh, he's a Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Arjuna is actually, he's citing evidence from these great personalities like Devala, Vyas, and Narada. So this is the devotee, actually. He doesn't concoct anything. He follows the disciplic succession. He follows the previous acharyas. So, Bharadvaj C. Srimad Bhagavatam 116. Gautama, one of the 7 great sages of the universe, Sharadvan Gautama was one of his sons. Persons in the Gautama Gotra dynasty today are either his family descendants or in his disciplic succession. The Brahmanas who profess Gautama Gotra are generally family descendants, and the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas who profess Gautama Gotra are all in the line of his disciplic succession. He was the husband of the famous Ahalya, who turned into stone when Indradev, the king of the heaven, molested her. Ahalya was delivered by Lord Ramachandra. Gautama was the grandfather of Kripacharya, one of the heroes of the battle of Kurukshetra. Maitreya, a great rishi of yore, he was spiritual master of Vidura and a great religious authority. He advised Dhritarashtra to keep good relations with the Pandavas. Duryodhana disagreed and thus was cursed by him. He met Vyasadeva and had religious discourses with him. So we just heard of quite a few of these great personalities. So we could see that by Prabhupada revealing who these personalities are and what their history is, we could see the magnitude of the discussion that's about to take place, the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam. All these personalities that have done so many great things and just interesting things in the history of the universe, they're all assembling around Maharaj Parikshit for seeing this speaking of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I was just thinking when I was reading these texts last night, I was thinking about that, how important Srimad Bhagavatam is. And we know that hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is one of the most important processes of devotional service. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam daily in the association of devotees. So these personalities, they had the intelligence, the understanding, the ability to understand what is happening, even if it's on this earthly planet. Like we hear that nowadays, these great personalities, the demigods from the higher planets, they generally don't come to Earth because of the degradation of the consciousness of today, of the age. But at this time, these great sages are assembling. And why? Because the Lord is descending in the literary incarnation of Srimad Bhagavatam. So many people say, well, how did they know? We weren't able to go to their planets by rockets, and we didn't have like radio frequencies able to transmit back and forth on these higher planets. Some materialists would say that today in material science. But as just by hearing from the Vedic literatures, we know that there is more advanced technologies of being able to receive and transmit messages. Like even there's a mystic power that somebody can be true Kalikya. They can know past, present, and future. And we know that that is true because actually Bhaktivinoda foresaw this, that people from all over the world will congregate in the holy land of birthplace of Mahaprabhu and chant Jai Satchidananda, Jai Satchidananda. And we see that that's actually happening today, every year, probably every day. People are touring to Mayapur, the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, from all over the world, and chanting Jai Satchidananda, Jai Satchidananda. So this isn't just some like mythology. These personalities aren't just from some mythology. It's actually real. It's real history. And we can only really understand that by submitting ourselves to the spiritual master and the acharyas that reveal this knowledge and this great history to us. So that's the importance of being able to follow Krishna's instruction in the Bhagavad Gita, to approach spiritual master, inquire for him submissively, and render service unto him, and the self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you. And by doing that, then all this is revealed. All this great history, this great science of Bhakti Yoga. And we can actually appreciate these personalities for who they are, actually historical persons, and persons that are also present today. Like Narada Muni, we know is traveling all over the universe preaching the glories of the Lord. And yeah, it's just some really amazing person. So does anybody have any comments about these personalities or importance of Srimad Bhagavatam?
That Prabhupada several times told the devotees that the kirtan was so ecstatic and Narada Muni had come and saw him, so he did come. But the devotees didn't see him.
Yeah, I just read that. I think I read that in the conversation, or maybe it was following Srila Prabhupada, where one devotee was leading kirtan on the harmonium, and he was chanting Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada closed his eyes, and he started just chanting Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers to Narada Muni. Narada Muni Bhaja. I don't remember the song. Yeah, so Prabhupada started singing this during that Hare Krishna kirtan, and the devotee was really confused and bewildered was singing. He stopped chanting Hare Krishna and looked at Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, keep chanting Hare Krishna. So the devotee kept chanting Hare Krishna, and Prabhupada was still singing this bhajan. And then the devotee later asked Prabhupada, oh, what was that? He said, oh, you didn't know? You didn't see? Narada Muni came to the kirtan. Thank you for reciting that. Yeah, so anything else on these great personalities?
The Parashuram, is that the same Parashuram, like the incarnation of Vishnu?
Parashuram.
Doesn't it say Parashara? Or is it Parashara?
Parashara. And there's two. Parashara and Parashuram. So the one that was described is Parashara. And Parashuram, Prabhupada didn't describe them. He said to go to different reference.
Yeah, 196.
106. Yeah. So yeah, Parashuram is that personality that you were talking about, who destroyed the Kshatriyas 21 times. So, is there any other comments on this verse? What did we say?
Yeah, it's interesting to me how, I mean, I don't know exactly how to say it, but, you know, like with Vishwamitra, probably, like, I probably shouldn't say he's not perfect, but it seems he has, you know, it's a checkered, I think we used the word interesting in history, you know, he stole the cow, you know, yet he's still being lauded here, and, you know, his glory is sung in the pages of the Bhagavatam. I mean, obviously he, at the end of the segment, he underwent severe austerities to basically make up for it, you know. But it's just, yeah, it's interesting, you know, this material world, things can happen. And, yeah, so I assume he is being considered as a saintly person, right? And that's why he's being mentioned in the pages.
Yeah, I've actually heard, and maybe someone could correct me, but I've heard that not everybody who assembled were devotees.
Wow.
I don't remember where I heard that from. Maybe it was a lecture or something.
Was that Prithvi though, or was that with the assembly of Prithvi Maharaj, or was that with this one?
Namarashani. You could look more into that. Yeah.
I was curious, what happened with the Srimad Bhagavatam after it was spoken originally? Was there some period of time before it was written into Sanskrit by Madhva, right? Yes. Would that be us?
Vyasadeva compiled it as far as like, because Srimad Bhagavatam, I mean, as far as like this direct Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm not sure, I don't remember the exact like history of how it was actually written, but we know that Srimad Bhagavatam actually appears at different times. So, I don't know, maybe someone else can comment on how this.
Well, Vyasadeva could see past, present, and future. He could see by spiritual television from a long ways off, so he could record, and he wrote it down. And sometimes what he wrote seemed like it was after his time, but he could see past, present, and future. So, but he wrote it down. It was spoken, and he wrote it down. But he spoke it to Shukadeva. Sorry, it's dry. Narada Muni heard the first Bhagavatam. It was just 4 verses. Narada Muni? Brahma heard it and told it to Narada Muni. And he was expanding on it since then, so it keeps expanding. It's very complicated, actually, and I can't talk. I'm sorry. I'm not really saying this.
After this event, after this one event, does anyone know how it was passed through cyclic succession?
I've read it before, and I think I know where it is, so I can share if we can find it. Thank you.
If you see our temple president today, he's vetted, I'm sure. You know Indra Vandana?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the history man. You know, he probably knows.
I'll ask him.
I will ask him and let me know what he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, is there anything else? Okay, well, my Bhagavatam Bhagavatam Ki Jai. We'll start to glorify Lord Varahadev, even though I'm very unqualified to do so. So, the really beautiful prayers by Jayadev Goswami. Vasati Dashana Sikare Darini Tavalagna Shashini Kanka Kevalagni Magna Keshavadrita Shukara Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord of Hari, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a boar, all glories to you. The earth, which has sunk to the bottom of the Garbha ocean, sits fixed upon the tip of your tusk, like a spot upon the moon. So can somebody please narrate a little bit about what they remember about Lord Varahadev?
Hiranyaksha?
Yeah, Hiranyaksha.
Drown the world. I don't remember why. When Lord Varaha went to the bottom of the ocean to fight Hiranyaksha, killed him, and elevated the world back to its position, its tusk. That's all I really know.
But which Varaha's appearance there is in? There are two Varahas, right?
There's Vamana and Varaha.
Like red one and white one.
There's Vamana and Varaha.
No, two Varahas in.
Oh,
red one and white one. One is the Hiranyaksha and second one is
the white one.
So which one is no?
Today is the white one.
White one is who?
His is painted red.
Is the white one the one that's mentioned in Bhagavatam? Like the pastime?
White one.
So today is Varaha which lifted the earth or which hid with Hiranyaksha?
Does anybody know?
He did both things at the same time. He was fighting Hiranyaksha after he picked the earth and put it in orbit.
In third canto it said that Maitreya told about this both incarnations at the same time, but they were in different yugas.
Yeah, they're different incarnations.
Do you know about the two different incarnations of Lord Varaha?
Third canto.
I can't quite hear, I don't know really what he has said. And this is too long to read. This is half the Bible.
Well, so why does Krishna descend in his incarnations? He says, Prithanaya sadhanam, to protect the devotees, the pious, and Nashaya Tradishvatam, to annihilate the demons. So we see he did this in his pastime, particularly in the ones mentioned in the third canto. He annihilated the demon Hiranyaksha, who was wreaking havoc over the whole universe. And he saved the devotees by lifting the earth with his tusk. So Krishna does what he says. And also, one reason why he comes as well, simultaneously, is to attract the conditioned souls. So we see that one could see, how could a boar be beautiful? How could a boar be supremely opulent? Because when we have experience of a boar in this world, I don't know about you, but I've never thought of a boar as being beautiful. But here we see that many people are praising this form of the Lord as a boar. And that's the Lord's opulence, right? He is all beautiful. He has the opulence of, he's the most beautiful personality. So even if the Lord comes in the form of a boar, he's also very, very beautiful. So it's not like we're just worshipping some animal, we're actually worshipping the form of the Lord. Because the incarnation is revealed through scripture, through Shastra. So that's how we know it's bona fide form. And it's really interesting how Krishna comes in so many different ways. So we can become attracted. Wow, Krishna descended in the form of a boar and fought this great demon and lifted the earth and saved us. Many people want to hear things like this, right? They want to hear about some hero. They like to hear about some hero. They like to glorify some hero that did this seemingly impossible task. This is one of the most impossible tasks, to save the earth from drowning from the Bhagavatam ocean. So Krishna is the greatest hero, and he comes even in the form of a boar to do this, or a fish, or a tortoise, korma. So Prabhupada mentions that, like I said, everybody wants to hear and glorify somebody. That's just natural for the soul. But in this material world, we do it with our contaminated vision. So we glorify some personality. Like we see today, that people are glorifying personalities that are the most sinful, doing sinful activities, or these persons are glorifying. And it reflects the population's mentality, their consciousness. But we see that people that are actually glorifying the Lord, that reflects their mentality also. And that is something that's very saintly, very amazing. These personalities aren't attracted to sinful life. They're attracted to transcendental things. So we know that if somebody comes to congregate to hear Krishna Katha, to hear about the Lord's pastimes, then these people are extremely special, because they could be doing so many other things. Right, today's Saturday morning, we could be doing so many other things, but we're gathered to hear Krishna Katha, hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Bhagavan. And so we know that we're getting something, we're getting the mercy of the Lord, of the spiritual master. And it reflects our consciousness. And we're very fortunate to be able to come and congregate and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, hear about the glories of the Lord. So does anybody else have any more things to say about Varaha? Just anything that you've heard?
Yeah, well, just maybe slightly speculation, but I was thinking in regards to different colors of Varaha, that, it's basically the same Varaha, right? Just like Krishna has, Krishna will have blackish, or also be whitish, etc. The same Krishna.
Two different pastimes.
Different pastimes, sure. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's a total different ages. Like one Manu brought up here, another Manu brought up.
Oh yeah, so which appearance are we celebrating with that? I guess that's the question. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Oh yeah, never mind.
My Guru Maharaj, Jagataka Swami, said that it's really important to take advantage of the opportunity to pray to these incarnations and exalted personalities on the occasion of their appearance, or like in case of the acharyas, their disappearance, because they're very inclined to give their mercy. And so everybody should make their prayer to Lord Varaha. Yeah.
Did anybody say yet? I didn't hear everything because it was really soft spoken. Did anybody say how he appeared yet?
How you appear?
Did they say yet?
No.
Okay.
I was just about to read a little bit.
Oh, you're going to read it? Okay, that's better.
If you like.
It's better if you're going to read it. Yeah, because I'll miss something too or something.
So this is the third canto, chapter 13, the appearance of Lord Varaha. So I'm starting a little bit in a couple verses on, because a little bit of background. This is text 13. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. If he is not satisfied that one's labor for advancement is futile, he is the ultimate self, and therefore one who does not satisfy him certainly neglects his own interests. So I believe this is Lord Brahma speaking to Manu. So here is Manu. Sri Manu said, O all-powerful Lord, O killer of all sins, I shall abide by your order. Now please let me know my place and that of the living entities born of me. O Master of the demigods, please attempt to lift the earth, which is merged in the great water, because it is the dwelling place for all living entities. It can be done by your endeavor and by the mercy of the Lord. Sri Maitreya said, thus, seeing the earth merge in the water, Brahma gave his attention for a long time to how it could be lifted. Oh, here. Therefore, according to Jiva Goswami, the topics delineated here are of different millenniums. The present topics are of the Shveta Varaha millennium, and topics regarding the Chakshusha millennium will also be discussed in this chapter. Interesting. So Chakshusha millennium is most recent. So let's see. Brahma thought, while I have been engaged in the process of creation, the earth has been inundated by a deluge and has gone down into the depths of the ocean. What can we do who are engaged in this matter of creation? It is best to let the Almighty Lord direct us. Purport. The devotees of the Lord, who are all confidential servitors, are sometimes perplexed in the discharge of their respective duties, but they are never discouraged. They have full faith in the Lord, and He paves the way for the smooth progress of the devotee's duty. Next text. O son of Vidura, all of a sudden, while Brahma was engaged in thinking, a small form of a boar came out of his nostril. The measurement of the creature was not more than the upper portion of a thumb. O descendant of Bharat, while Brahma was observing him, that boar became situated in the sky in a wonderful manifestation as gigantic as a great elephant. Struck with wonder at observing the wonderful boar-like form in the sky, Brahma, with great brahmanas like Marichi, as well as the Kumaras and Manu, began to argue in various ways. Is this some extraordinary entity come in the pretense of a boar? It is very wonderful that he has come from my nose. First of all, this boar was seen no bigger than the tip of a thumb, and within a moment he was as large as a stone. My mind is perturbed. Is he the Supreme Personality Godhead, Vishnu? While Brahma was deliberating with his sons, the Supreme Personality Godhead Vishnu roared tumultuously like a great mountain. The omnipotent Supreme Personality Godhead enlivened Brahma and the other highly elevated brahmanas by again roaring with his uncommon voice, which echoed in all directions. When the great sages and thinkers who are residents of Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka heard the tumultuous voice of Lord Brahma, which was the all-auspicious sound of the all-merciful Lord, they chanted auspicious chants from the three Vedas. Playing like an elephant, he entered into the water after roaring again in reply to the Vedic prayers by the great devotees. The Lord is the object of the Vedic prayers, and thus he understood that the devotees' prayers are meant for him. Purport. The form of the Lord in any shape is always transcendental and full of knowledge and mercy. The Lord is the destroyer of all contamination because his form is personified Vedic knowledge. All the Vedas worship the transcendental form of the Lord. In the Vedic mantras, the devotees request the Lord to remove the glaring effulgence because it covers his real face. That is a version of the Ishopanishad. The Lord has no material form, but his form is always understood in terms of the Vedas. The Vedas are to be the breath of the Lord, and that breath was inhaled by Brahma, the original student of the Vedas. The breathing from the nostril of Brahma caused the appearance of Lord Boar, and therefore the boar incarnation of the Lord is the personified Vedas. The glorification of the incarnation by the sages on the higher planets consisted of factual Vedic hymns. Whenever there is glorification of the Lord, it is to be understood that Vedic mantras are being rightly vibrated. The Lord was therefore pleased when such Vedic mantras were chanted, and to encourage his pure devotees, he roared once more and entered the water to rescue the submerged earth. Next text. Before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Boar flew in the sky, slashing his tail, his hard hairs quivering. His very glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with his hooves and his glittering white tusks. Purport. When the Lord is offered prayers by his devotees, his transcendental activities are described. Here are some of the transcendental features of Lord Boar. As the residents of the upper three planetary systems offered their prayers to the Lord, it is understood that his body expanded throughout the sky. Beginning from the topmost planet Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, it is stated in the Brahma Samhita that his eyes are the sun and the moon, and therefore his very glance over the sky was as illuminating as the sun or the moon. The Lord is described herein as Mahidra, which means either a big mountain or the sustainer of the earth. In other words, the Lord's body was as big and hard as the Himalayan mountains. Otherwise, how was it possible that he kept the entire earth on the support of his white tusks? The poet Jayadev, a great devotee of the Lord, has sung of the incident in his prayers for the incarnations. All glories to Lord Keshava Krishna, who appeared as a boar. The earth was held between his tusks, which appeared like the scars on the moon. What time do we stop?
At 8:30.
Okay. Next text. He was personally the Supreme Lord Vishnu and was therefore transcendental. Yet because he had the body of a hog, he searched after the earth by smell. His tusks were fearful, and he glanced over the devotee brahmanas engaged in offering prayers. Thus he entered the water. It's interesting that when Krishna comes as these forms, he still acts like them. Like it says here, he searched after the earth by smell. Even though he's the Lord, he could do anything. He still acts according to that body. Interesting. Let me just keep reading the text. Diving into the water like a giant mountain, Lord Boar divided the middle of the ocean, and two high waves appeared as the arms of the ocean, which cried loudly as if praying to the Lord, "O Lord of all sacrifices, please do not cut me in two. Kindly give me protection." Lord Boar penetrated the water with his hooves, which were like sharp arrows, and found the limits of the ocean, although it was unlimited. He saw the earth, the resting place for all living beings, lying as it was in the beginning of creation, and he personally lifted it. Lord Boar very easily took the earth on his tusk and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then, his anger glowing like Sudarshan wheel, he immediately killed the demon Hiranyaksha, although he tried to fight with the Lord. Purport. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the Vedic literatures describe the incarnation of Lord Varaha Boar in two different devastations. Oh, she left him. Namely, the Chakshusha devastation and the Swayambhuva devastation. This particular appearance of the boar incarnation actually took place in the Swayambhuva devastation, when all planets other than the higher ones, Jana, Mahar, and Satya, merged in the water of devastation. This particular incarnation of the boar was seen by the inhabitants of the planets mentioned above. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti suggests that the sage Maitreya amalgamated both the boar incarnations in different devastations and summarized them in his description to Vidura. Interesting. Next text. Thereupon Lord Boar killed the demon with the water, just as a lion kills an elephant. The cheeks and tongue of the Lord became smeared with the blood of the demon, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging in the purple earth. Then the Lord, playing like an elephant, suspended the earth on the edge of his curved white tusks. He assumed a bluish complexion like that of a tamal tree, and thus the sages, headed by Brahma, could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offered respectful obeisances unto the Lord. All the sages uttered with great respect, O unconquerable, enjoyer of all sacrifices, all glories, and all victories unto you. You are moving in your form of the personified Vedas, and in the hair holes of your body the oceans are submerged. For certain reasons, to uplift the earth, you have now assumed the form of a boar. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Varahadev ki jai, Orphan.
Which one? Some balls.